My name is Liam, and I'm a 35-year-old software engineer living in Boston. This is my story. She thought I would beg. That was her greatest miscalculation. When she told me, "Go ahead, move out," her eyes were sparkling with the confidence of someone who had already won. Natalie believed I would fall apart, that I would crawl back unable to survive without her, but instead I packed my things quietly. There was no shouting, no pleading, just the methodical folding of shirts, the neat placement of shoes, and the empty thud of the door closing behind me. The silence was what truly rattled her. I saw her confident smirk vanish as I walked by. She never realized that silence was my most potent weapon. We had been married for 8 years. 8 years of shared meals, whispered dreams, and late nights I thought we were spending building a future together. I worked long hours, convinced I was providing a solid foundation for us. She often complained that I was always tired. I believed I was giving us a home, but she was busy inviting another man into our bed. At first, I ignored the red flags. The late-night messages she would quickly turn her phone over to hide. The scent of an unfamiliar perfume when she came home from errands. Kisses that held no warmth. I told myself it was just stress that she would come back to me. I clung to the hope that love was enough to hold us together. But love doesn't thrive in the shadows. Love doesn't laugh into a phone when the shower is running. I knew the truth long before I ever caught her. The final undeniable confirmation arrived on a Tuesday. Natalie was in the kitchen, humming as she cooked. Her phone lit up on the counter, and a message from a man I didn't know appeared. The words were intimate and vulgar, the kind of arrogant words a man uses when he believes he owns her. I tasted something metallic and bitter in my mouth as I fought to remain calm. She stirred the pot, smiling at me as if everything was normal. But the woman standing there was no longer my wife. She was a stranger wearing her face. I didn't confront her, not yet. Confrontation is for the impulsive. Revenge is for the patient. So I began to gather my evidence. I collected bank records, phone bills, and GPS logs from her car. I meticulously dismantled our finances until the truth was impossible to hide: designer handbags, expensive yoga retreats that were really weekends with him. I hired a private investigator. Within 2 weeks, I had a thick folder of photographs, her hand in his, their mouths pressed together in bars, in parking lots, even right outside our house. I paid to have every lie documented, every betrayal stamped with a time and date. This folder was thick enough to choke her lawyer. Then I began to move my pieces. I redirected my paycheck into a separate account, canceled the joint credit card she was draining, and quietly met with a divorce attorney. The irony wasn't lost on me. It was the same attorney her father had once recommended with the words, "If she ever betrays you, don't hesitate." While she was laughing with her lover, I was building a weapon out of paperwork, law, and silence. The night she finally tried to break me arrived. We argued, or rather she shouted while I remained calm. She called me cold, said I wasn't man enough for her anymore. Then came her final venomous line. "Go ahead, move out if you don't like it." She expected me to erupt in a fit of desperation. Instead, I looked at her, held her gaze, and began to pack. Her smirk faltered. "Are you really doing this?" she asked, her voice suddenly unsure. "Yes," I said. That was all. I left that night. To her, it looked like a victory. To me, it was the start of checkmate. Within a few days, the storm began. Her father was the first to call, his voice full of rage. "What happened? Why did you leave?" he demanded. I invited him over, and then I handed him the folder. The photos, the receipts, the messages. I watched his face tighten with every page he turned. This was a man who lived by honor and loyalty. His daughter was his pride, and now she was his greatest shame. When he finished, his hands were trembling and his eyes burned into mine. "Leave this to me," he said. I didn't ask what he meant. I didn't need to. 2 nights later, she called me, her voice frantic. "What did you do?" she screamed. I almost smiled. "What do you mean?" "My father." He stormed in yelling. "He has pictures. He knows everything. He said I humiliated him." Her sobs cracked through the line. The arrogance was gone. The same woman who once told me to leave now sounded like a child who had set her own house on fire. I stayed silent. Silence, my sharpest blade. Her world unraveled quickly. Her father cut off her financial support. Friends she once bragged to now whispered about her. Her lover vanished the moment her money dried up. I heard she tried to call him, begging him to stay. But men like him don't love, they consume. And when the feast is over, they move on to fresher prey. She reached out to me again. Apologies, tears, promises to change. But I was already gone. My lawyer filed for divorce with undeniable proof of her adultery. I walked away with the house, our savings, and ironically, her father's quiet respect. I can almost picture the look on her face when her father slammed that folder down in front of her. Not fear, not anger, but the dawning realization that I was not the fool she believed me to be. While she was playing games in the shadows, I was building a guillotine in broad daylight. She expected me to beg. Instead, I let her destroy herself. Now I sit in my own home in Phoenix, quiet and calm. My life is rebuilt from the ashes she thought she left me in. Do I miss her? No, you can't miss a ghost. Do I regret it? Not for a moment. She once told me to move out, I did, and in leaving I burned her world to the ground.